Hi, everyone. My name is Pastor Kathy Johnson. I serve as Associate Pastor at Zion Lutheran Church in San Antonio, Texas. And this is Digital Gathering, which is a place to explore through scripture, prayer, and reflection. It has been a long time. It's been since before the summer that we have been together, such as is. And it's obviously, it's been kind of a weird summer since then. I needed to take a few months and sort of focus on my ministry at Zion, but I'm back now. And I'm taking Digital Gathering a little bit of a different direction. For those of you that have been regular viewers before, you may or may not be aware that I actually finished my doctorate and graduated in May. Yay! And Digital Gathering was actually born out of my doctoral program. It was a large part of my thesis. And so I'm going to be kind of exploring some different things. One of the things, though, that I wanted to share with y'all, especially in this time of COVID, when some of us are still maybe working from home a little bit more, maybe we're not meeting in our churches in person right now, maybe we're feeling a little bit scattered or whatever, is how we can encounter the scriptures in some ways maybe that are different than what we normally would do or what we've maybe done before. It's always good to sort of come at the Bible or maybe other reading as well with fresh eyes through maybe a different practice. When I was going through Twitter one day this summer, I came across a group of clergy that I follow, and they were talking about how they were going to take on the practice of hand copying the Gospel of Luke. And I thought, wow, what an incredible devotion to the scripture and to a project to take on. And I thought, what is something that I could do? And taking on hand copying one of the Gospels didn't really interest me that much. But I thought I could copy out the Psalms. There are 150 Psalms. They express a wide range of emotion. And to me, that felt like the perfect thing to tackle right now when I myself am experiencing a wide range of emotion during this time of COVID, especially. There are some days when I'm so frustrated. There are some days when I'm feeling okay and I'm feeling maybe even joyful. There are other days when I'm feeling completely down in the dumps. And the Psalms have all of that. And so each day, and it's not faithfully, I have to admit, I haven't done like a psalm every day, but I try to take on a psalm or maybe half of a psalm if it's longer and spend some time with it during that day then and hand copy it. So what does that look like exactly? Well, I went and I found a couple of these notebooks. They're just lined notebooks, and I found them on sale. And they just feel really nice in the hand. The paper is really, really good quality. I use a pen that I love. This is a pen. It has little dogs all over it. It's made by Acme, and I just love it. It writes really, really well. It's a good heavy pen. And I just started literally with Psalm 1 and started going. And I realize y'all can't really read this, and that's not the point. But I just started kind of going through Psalm 1, Psalm 2. And when I started, it was all very nice and neat and tidy. And then life hit. And maybe I hit a day where I just didn't have as much time or as much focus. But I still wanted to keep my commitment to this project. And so I sort of had to start letting go of the tidiness, like it's got to look perfect. I started letting go of those expectations for myself. The other thing that I had to let go of was that, do I have to absolutely do one on every single day? And the answer is no. Some days I just don't have the energy. I don't have the focus, because it does take focus if I'm doing it properly and really paying attention to doing. The other thing that I stopped doing was I was trying to cram so that I wouldn't maybe have to start a new page. And I stopped worrying about that too, because it was getting all cramped and crammy, and I just didn't like the way that felt or looked. And so I just write. I just start copying and I just go, and I try to pay attention somewhat to how things look. But if I have to start a new page, I start a new page. And however many pages it takes is how many pages it's going to take. I hope what y'all are hearing in some of this is that I've had to let go of some of what I wanted to really control, because what I found when I started doing it was there was stuff about this project that I absolutely could not control. And that has been a really good lesson for me personally. So one of the things that this project has helped me do is I take whatever psalm I'm working on that day, and I really focus on the words or the message of that psalm. Handwriting it, putting it into my own handwriting and different sort of variations even on my handwriting, helps me really pay attention to the words of what I'm writing. I love the Psalms. I've read through the book of Psalms, all 150, many times. Speaking of things I can't control, now the dogs are starting to wrestle behind me. So anyway, I have read through the book of Psalms, I don't know how many times in my life, and I love the Psalms. But handwriting them, I focus on them differently, I find, and it's really become quite a beautiful spiritual practice for me to pray these psalms as I write them. So I wanted to show you, and again, I'm not going to show you in any great detail, but one of the things that I do, and you'll be able to kind of see here, is there's a shape here. This is Psalm 22, and I try and sort of look at and think about the shape that the words are taking. That particular phrase says, "I am poured out like water." And so I try to sort of artistically show this image of starting in the top and working our way down. I am poured out like water. So visually, it goes along with the words that I'm writing. I don't do that with every one of them, but I have done it with a few where I pay more attention to the artistic quality than not. Momentito, por favor. Hey. So anyway, I just wanted to share this spiritual practice with you, and I hope even if you don't get a notebook like this, maybe get a legal pad, get a journal, get something that feels good to you, something maybe that you already have lying around in your house. If you have a bunch of things like this lying around that you can't figure out a use for, this is a great use for something like for a notebook maybe you have lying around. I get a lot of things like this as gifts, and so that would have been something maybe a few years ago when I had several piled up that I could have used one of those gift journals for. I bought a couple because I knew that it was going to take more than one, and it may even take more than two. I don't know. I'll have to see how far I get. But I encourage you to pick a book of the Bible. If you don't want something long as the Psalms, maybe pick one of the epistles in the New Testament, one of the letters. Those are, maybe 3 or 4 chapters, and those are a lot easier to tackle. Or maybe pick a chunk of the Psalms. Maybe pick your favorite Psalm and copy that and see where that takes you, and see what God opens up for you through this work of handwriting out the scriptures. See what you pay attention to differently by doing this as opposed to just reading. I really encourage you to give it a shot. And I hope it goes well. And if you do give it a shot, I encourage you to go over to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/diggather. And you can post pictures there for me. And I would love to see what you're doing. In the meantime, wherever you are and however this day finds you, may God bless you and keep you always.